Formula 1 fans will be familiar with the term silly season, and with less than a week to go in the summer transfer window, we are now well and truly entering silly season for Celtic Football Club. We've got a week now to do our business. We haven't strengthened to the level that we wanted to. We've got a week to do it, and we're also trying to hold on to our best players. We're doing it the Celtic way, ladies and gents. We're doing it the Celtic way. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. We are powering towards the big 50,000 subscriber mark. Let's try and get there by the end of the year. Jump down below, hit both those buttons. It's absolutely free. And let's do this big edition of Celtic Transfer Talk, shall we? Because we have a lot to talk about. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, we don't have a lot of time left in this transfer window. In fact, on screen as time of recording, this is what is left in the summer transfer window, and that's all the time we've got to make the final signings that every Celtic fan wants to see. We've come into this window with heavy expectations, and it's safe to say Celtic as a football club haven't delivered on those expectations. And I get it, everybody is subject to their own opinion. You might be fine, you might be calm, you might be nervous, you might be annoyed. There's going to be a completely different look of things depending on who you ask. It's a big spectrum between happiness and disappointment. But I think most Celtic fans will genuinely tell you they're quite disappointed with this window because we haven't delivered on the improvements that Brendan Rodgers made clear that he wanted and the fans made clear that they wanted. But, you know, we have a week to go. We can make some signings. There's definitely a couple of players who look like they could be coming to the club. We will talk about that today. And we've also got to update you on the situation with both Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly. Will they be Celtic players by the end of this transfer window? Well, let's talk about that. So, shall we start with Kyogo, because I know he is the one that most people are worried about, and this last few days of transfer turmoil surrounding his name has made some people a little bit nervous. But today, Pep Guardiola, Manchester City manager, of course, he gave us quite a positive update in regards to Kyogo's situation, and it looks as though he won't be going to Man City unless circumstances take a big turn. This was Pep Guardiola's comments today when speaking at the press conference. So when asked about the transfer situation, Pep Guardiola says he doesn't think there will be any new signings this summer, but that could change depending on market opportunities or injuries. His exact words were he doesn't think anything will happen right now, but maybe if something happens in terms of injuries, hopefully not, or if the market provides us something unexpected that financially suits or tactically suits. But right now, I don't think so. Which kind of brings to an abrupt end the chatter that they were already in talking to Celtic, that bids had maybe been made and the player was talking to the club. Listen, you can only take everything at surface level, at face value, if you like. Managers nowadays are very good at keeping a poker face and lying through their teeth. Not only managers of opposition clubs, but managers of your own club. I mean, the amount of times we've heard managers come out and say, I'm not expecting someone to leave, and then bang, days later, they're gone. That could very well be the case with Kyogo, but nonetheless, a positive update from Pep Guardiola. It doesn't look as though they're going to sign anybody in the last week of this transfer window unless an injury occurs this weekend. So everybody, cross your fingers, bless yourselves, make sure you are praying before that Man City game. Don't count your chickens just yet. It doesn't mean that Kyogo is definitely 100% staying. Don't take those words from my mouth. You never know. But it does all kind of now come back to what I said in my original video about this matter. I just said I couldn't see it. You know, if I was being naive, then I was being naive, but it just made very little sense to me that Manchester City were in for our wee Kyogo. So, yeah, hopefully that's the end of this matter. There's still a week to go. We'll watch if anything comes from it or if it goes any further. But as it stands, Pep Guardiola isn't looking for any players. On the other hand, the Matt O'Reilly stories aren't as positive because it looks as though it's getting ever closer to the point where Brighton will sign him this summer. Fabrizio Romano has been constantly updating us on the situation. God, I hate him, but still, he has been updating us. He's put up a few tweets like this recently. Brighton are advancing in talks for Matt O'Reilly. They're looking to finalise the agreement with Celtic soon. As per his last update, he said that the Premier League side are very confident of finalising that deal soon with Celtic, so we could very well see him for the last time in a Celtic shirt this weekend, should Fabrizio Romano's reports be correct. The positive thing is, he's been pictured in training. Matt O'Reilly has been at Lennox Town as late as today, so that's always good. Don't know what's going to happen with all of this, if it's going to be a case of him signing after the game at the weekend or being whisked away from us before that game. Nonetheless, he is still at Lennox Town. He's still a Celtic player. I just think that very, very soon we will get the official word, the final word, that he's no longer a Celtic player. So that's outgoings done and dusted for now. We don't really anticipate any major departures aside from Matt O'Reilly now. A couple of players who could be on the way out that don't really impact Celtic on a big scale. Gustav Lagerbielke, Daniel Kelly, Mikey Johnson. But yeah, Matt O'Reilly, that should be it. Shall we try and change the conversation to talk about incomings and be a lot more positive? Because once again, it's been a big, busy day. Silly season is starting. Mateusz Bogus, we spoke about him on the channel a couple days ago. It was reported that Celtic had bidded for the LAFC player and that he was going to be Celtic's next signing in the transfer window. It looks as though that could be done very, very soon. We were talking of a deal between £6.5 to £8.5 million, and it sounds like he could be on his way to Glasgow. Fans on social media spotted that it was perhaps his private jet, or not his private jet, but a private jet was sent for him. There was one due to leave Los Angeles International Airport to come to Glasgow. I don't imagine many private jets are coming from Los Angeles to Glasgow for many reasons. So a lot of people putting two and two together and assuming that it's him. It is being reported that deal is edging ever closer. Yeah, it looks as though he's going to be one of the last few signings in this window. Hopefully not the last, but it does look as though he will be a Celtic player. We'll get more about that very, very soon and hopefully cover it in a bit more depth when the transfer actually happens, because we're yet to really dive into the player. One of the transfer stories that popped up yesterday morning that we've yet to speak about on the channel was the links with Sheffield United defender Austin Trusty. Anthony Joseph of Sky Sports reported this, that Celtic are interested in Sheffield United defender Austin Trusty. The 26-year-old joined the club from Arsenal for £5 million last summer. The USA international can play centre-back and left-back. That was reported in correlation with Sky Sports and Tim Thornton. So yeah, listen, I made this very clear in my Twitter account yesterday. If you follow me, you have seen it. I think he'd be a cracking signing. I would really like him. Before he got his move to Arsenal, he was playing in the MLS with a couple sides, Philadelphia Union being one of them, and he played really, really well. It's the reason he got his move to Arsenal, and you don't get a move to a side like Arsenal without playing really, really well. Obviously, never kicked a ball down in London. He's ended up at Sheffield United, where he played 32 times last season, averaging about 80 minutes in the Premier League. It was a poor season for the Blades, of course, but I mean, it's Sheffield United in the Premier League. What else do you expect? This season, he's played in the Cup, scored in the Cup. He's a defender who likes to chip in with goals as well. And most importantly, can play centre-back and left-back. It's a signing that would make a lot of sense. But it also means that Celtic are going to cop out, doesn't it? Celtic would love the opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. This is somebody that can come in and play both those areas. It gives you backup for Greg Taylor if he gets injured, and it's also somebody that should be starting ahead of Liam Scales in the left-footed centre-back role. I'm not a big fan of Celtic killing those two birds with the one stone. They should be signing two players, but if it's enough to do us from now until January, I'd be fine with it on the short term. Can I stress that right now? On the short term. Doesn't mean that we just neglect the left-back position altogether, but 6'2", I think he is, 6'2". I think, listen, an American centre-half partnership between Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty sounds good to me. I do genuinely like the look of him. How much would they want? That's the question. He's valued currently at around £6 million, I believe. They signed him for £5 million, so I'd imagine maybe want a couple million more than that. But he didn't start in the first championship game of the season, the first couple championship games of the season, actually, which means he's not, a priority player for them at the minute. So we'll watch where this one goes. We're waiting for more sources to back it up, but it could go hand in hand with another transfer that would include one of our own players. Some stories emerged that Sheffield United were interested in Mikey Johnson, which means he could play a part in this transfer if Celtic choose to go down that route. I'd be all for it. Johnston and a bit of cash for Austin Trusty, that would work for me. Nonetheless, I really want him. I think he'd be a good option for us. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. But we might have someone else coming to the club if reports from France are to be believed. Do you see what I mean? It's silly season. Silly season. Anyway, this came out from France earlier today. Journalist Nabil Gelit, he reported in French that Celtic had essentially made an offer to Lyon for midfielder Mahamadou Diawara. Also interest from Nantes and Lens. 19-year-old PSG Academy graduate. Celtic have apparently made an offer for the player, which obviously would suggest that we are all in here and we really want him. Take it with a pinch of salt. I have never seen this journalist before to sit and say if I can verify his credibility. I'm not saying he's not credible, in case you're watching, Nabil. But in regards to Celtic related news, I don't know. I couldn't guarantee that this is actually happening, but reportedly Celtic have made a bid. Now, the biggest thing and everything about Celtic pointed this out on Twitter, which I thought was a really good point. The interesting thing about this is he is a PSG Academy graduate. Brendan Rodgers is a fan of PSG Academy graduates. Odsonne Edouard, Moussa Dembele, he has a track record for signing them. So that could be the case, but he's not an established player. He's not a first team player. This would be somebody, if Celtic are interested, that I'm assuming is for the future. It's one of these project players that they're looking to get done before the window shuts. But yeah, that's apparently happened. Once again, we'll need to watch how it develops. I wouldn't read into it too much right now until more sources report on it. And that does it for today. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. It's been a long one, I know, and a lot to try and keep up with. I wish that I could actually dive into some of these a little more in depth, but we'd be here all day, so I'm waiting for more credible articles and stories to come out before we do that, and I'm assuming that will happen over the course of the next few days anyway, so keep an eye out on the channel and we'll talk about each player as it comes. But I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've managed to keep up. If you have, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. I'll see y'all over the next busy week. Cheerio.